In the middle of a rusting junkyard, surrounded by scraps of human failure and forgotten machines, one man carried out a quiet ritual. Every evening he left food for two figures no one else dared to approach, an alien mother and her small daughter hiding among the wreckage. At first they were shadows, then whispers, then friends. But what happens when kindness turns into family, and when family turns into something worth fighting for? This isn't just survival, this is humanity at its loudest. If stories like this make you believe that compassion can reshape worlds, then stick around. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more human-first sci-fi tales, and share this story with a friend who needs a reminder of what makes us, us. Humanity is legendary, and together we'll prove it. The junkyard was alive with silence. Rusted cars leaned against one another like tombstones of forgotten battles, and the air smelled of oil, dust, and rain-soaked metal. To most, it was a graveyard, but to Min-jun, it was home. Every night, after the world turned its back, he carried a dented lunchbox through the maze of steel. Inside, not scraps, not leftovers, but warm food he had cooked with his own hands. At first, he wasn't sure who or what was taking it. He only knew the food disappeared. Then, one night, he caught a glimpse. A tall, slender figure with trembling shoulders, clutching the hand of something smaller. Eyes like liquid silver peered at him from the shadows. An alien mother and her child. They never spoke, not at first. But Min-jun noticed the way the daughter's tiny claws clutched the food, the way the mother hesitated before taking her share, bowing her head in silence. It wasn't just hunger. It was desperation. So he came back. Night after night. Rain, frost, heat. It didn't matter. The world had abandoned them, but he wouldn't. And deep down, though he didn't yet realize it, this ritual was changing all of them. The junkyard had become their meeting ground, a place where silence slowly turned into something softer. Min-jun never asked questions. He just left food, gave a quiet nod, and walked away. But over time, the mother stopped hiding so deeply in the shadows. Her form was strange to human eyes, skin like faintly glowing stone, markings that shifted when she breathed. Yet there was nothing monstrous about her. Her movements were careful, protective. She always let her daughter eat first. The girl, curious and unafraid, began to edge closer to Min-jun. At first, it was a giggle echoing through the junkyard as she peeked from behind her mother's arm. Then one night, she placed a small three-fingered hand on the lunchbox before he could set it down. She didn't take it. She just looked at him, head tilted, as if testing his soul. Min-jun smiled. A simple human smile. No words. No grand gesture. Just warmth. And the mother, after a long pause, whispered something in a tongue he couldn't understand. But her eyes told the story. Trust was growing. Fragile, hesitant, but real. What none of them knew was that shadows never stay hidden forever. Someone else was watching. The junkyard had been their secret world, but secrets never last. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, Min-jun noticed something different. The stillness was gone. Footsteps crunched on gravel that didn't belong to him. Voices, human voices. "Swear I saw movement here," one man muttered. Flashlights swept across twisted heaps of steel. Another voice followed, sharp and greedy. "Company'll pay good money for alien strays, dead or alive." Min-jun's chest tightened. His eyes darted to the far corner where the mother and daughter hid, pressed against the skeleton of an old bus. The little girl's silver eyes glimmered in fear. The scavengers moved closer. The beams of light crept dangerously near. Min-jun's mind screamed to stay quiet, to walk away, to let this nightmare pass over him. After all, who was he to stand against them? But then he saw the mother's trembling hands shielding her child. He saw the same desperation he had once felt in his own life, the fight to protect something you love, even when the world spits you out. The decision struck like lightning. Min-jun stepped forward from the shadows, blocking their path. "Leave," he said. His voice was steady, human, defiant. The scavengers froze at the sight of Min-jun, just one man standing in the open, unarmed except for his will. They laughed. "You gonna stop us, junkyard rat?" one sneered, brandishing a pipe. Min-jun didn't flinch. "They're under my protection," he said. The words tasted heavy, but right. The mother's eyes widened behind him. The daughter clung to her leg, peeking out with terrified curiosity. The men moved forward. But Min-jun wasn't just some drifter. Life in the junkyard had hardened him. His hands were scarred from steel, his body calloused by survival. When the first man lunged, Min-jun sidestepped and shoved him hard into a heap of broken fenders. Another swung the pipe, but Min-jun caught it, twisted, and sent the weapon clattering into the dirt. "Last chance," he growled. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried the weight of something deeper. The refusal of a human being to bow. The scavengers hesitated. They weren't facing a soldier. They weren't facing a machine. They were facing something far more dangerous. Someone who had nothing to gain, but everything to protect. And in that moment, they realized one human could be an army. The scavengers backed off, muttering curses, but they didn't return. The junkyard fell silent again, but not with fear. This time, with something new. The mother stepped forward. Her voice trembled as she spoke words Min-jun could finally understand, broken but clear. "You protect." The daughter ran to him, silver eyes wide, clutching his hand with her tiny three-fingered grip. Min-jun felt it, the bond that had been growing with every shared meal, every silent night. It wasn't charity anymore. It was family. From that night on, things changed. He no longer left food and walked away. He sat with them, listened to their strange stories, learned their ways, and they, in turn, learned his. Laughter began to echo in the graveyard of steel, turning rust and ruin into a home. For the first time in a long while, Min-jun wasn't alone, and neither were they. Because sometimes, family isn't about blood or species or the stars you were born under. Sometimes it's about who stands with you when the world turns its back. And that, more than any weapon, more than any empire, was what made humanity legendary. And that's the story of how one man in a forgotten junkyard turned strangers into family. It wasn't power or wealth or even knowledge that defined him. It was compassion. That's what humanity brings to the stars, the courage to care, even when it costs us. If this story spoke to you, make sure to give it a like, hit subscribe for more human-first sci-fi tales, and share it with someone who loves powerful storytelling. Because in the end, every time we choose kindness, we remind the universe why humans are legends.